Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Listeners, today we're talking about letting our age define us. Join us as we share ways we can challenge ourselves to learn new things and reach new goals even as we grow older. Let's get started. Listeners, today we're talking about age. There are all these sayings like age is just a number, defy your age, you're aging backwards, 50 is the new 40, and age is a state of mind. And all of these things seem to imply that our age doesn't need to define us, and yet so many of us stop telling people our age after a certain number. We turn 30 for 30 years, and when we feel like the self we present to the world needs to match that number. So which is it, Julie and Mindy? Is age a state of mind or our destiny?
Depends on what day you ask me.
I'll say yes.
And listeners, that is the question we're going to be talking about today, because we're not going to land on one answer, but it is encouraging, I think, as we get older to hear that age maybe doesn't always have to be our most defining characteristic. And we can encourage each other in that way, because there's all these news stories about people defying age. And Mindy, you've done a little research into this. What did you find with like people that defy their age?
It's truly amazing. I mean, around graduation time, or if you go to any of your kids' graduations, and I'm talking college graduations, you will see a midlife person or an older adult, that's getting cheered on. And it's more and more common. I think it's just celebrated that we don't think that, even education is just for the young. So I think even starting there, I was like, this is amazing to celebrate people doing something that's not necessarily normal. And then I happened to run across a video of the gymnast grandma. And I ended up showing the video to all of my sons because it is a 96-year-old lady named Joanna Quace. And she's literally doing this amazing gymnastics routine on the parallel bars. She is holding all of her body weight, like her core strength. It is just like she's not having shoulder issues or knee issues. You don't think of a 96-year-old doing that. Okay, I do have to bring up something. Did you guys just see Martha Stewart on the front cover of Sports Illustrated at age 81?
Yes, I did see that. Yeah, I didn't even really know Martha Stewart was 81.
No. I know.
To me, she'll always be like 62 and on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously these things are in the news, and like there's a lot of articles out there of a lady that didn't start running till she was 50. Like she keeps setting records doing marathons in her 70s, things like that. And I'm so inspired, convicted. I feel like a lazy bum. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Well, I saw a news story about a woman. She's 103, and she won the gold at the senior games for the 50 meter and the 100-meter dash. Her name is Julia Hurricane Hawkins. And she holds the record for over 100 years old 50-meter dash. And I thought, is she the only one? Like, how many people are there?
Yeah, I was wondering how many are in her heat.
Over 100. Wow.
Yeah, and there's a little video of her running. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's not fast, but she's moving,
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I think she didn't start till 70s or 80s. She started running later.
Yeah.
I am always fascinated by the physical prowess that some people can have well into their senior years. They're skateboarding, they're water skiing, they're Harley Davidson motorcycle riding, they're sailing the world alone. I mean, there's so many different things. And so it really makes you feel like, oh, well, even if I've never tried this, maybe there's still time for me to learn.
Right.
Definitely can be inspired by some of these world record holders and even, the education thing that you mentioned, Mindy. I mean, that is hard. First of all, that is so intimidating to go back into a classroom. And then, when we went to class, you didn't take your notes on the computer. You had, notebook and pen, like everything was different. So it's intimidating. It can be a little embarrassing. It's learning a whole new skill set. Also, it's learning all these new things. I mean, there's not only the physical prowess that some people keep up with, but also just the mental prowess that some people are able to achieve. And I think that's really cool too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was reading up on this and it said, when you're a child, like a toddler, you're constantly learning, constantly taking in things, to learn about the world around you, and everything's kind of trial and error till you figure it out. And then you go to school and it's a little more formal learning, and you continue that through high school and college. Then you get a job and you're constantly learning new things in your career. And then you finally reach a point where you don't necessarily have to learn anything new.
Right.
That learning has been mandatory most of your life. And at a certain point, it becomes optional. And I thought that was really interesting because a lot of people say, I'm too old to learn new things. And they said you're actually not, it's not that you're incapable. It's just you've chosen not to.
Right.
That, because you don't necessarily have to learn anything new to survive. So it's just what you choose to learn. And learning is kind of a muscle that you have to keep active. So I think the more you learn, the easier it is to keep learning.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting that
it is.
Because, studying does seem harder when you're older. Like if I had to go back to school and do homework and study, but I think it's not that I'm not capable. I'm just out of practice.
It'd be such a discipline, because the three of us would choose our husbands or a family or a friend, or, we would think, well, I have a full life in other areas. It'd be really hard to sacrifice.
But it's basically, I just don't want to do that.
And have that discipline.
I'd have to be super passionate about it.
Yeah.
I know. I've racked my brain with preparing for Empty Nest, thinking, what should I do? What should I pursue? I can do something else. I'm already there thinking that, and I still have years to go, but I can't figure out what I care enough about to actually sacrifice to get there.
Right. Okay. Well, anyways, the point is that if you do find something, Mindy, you are more than capable of learning it. That, I think, is what we need to remind ourselves.
Yes, that is the point.
Yes. And it doesn't even have to be big. Like, we don't have to go back to school. We don't have to set world records. It can be even something more simple and basic than a new skill or accomplishment. It can be what we perceive is age appropriate. And there are so many things that we subconsciously, would that be the right word, have absorbed over the years, that it's okay to do something until a certain age, and then once you turn a certain age, you're not allowed to do that anymore. So let's talk about clothing or hairstyles for a minute. So what are some items of clothing that you have said, okay, I cannot wear this anymore?
I just don't feel comfortable in short skirts or shorts anymore. I don't know. I said this yesterday. Even if my legs looked awesome, it's just, I'm just not as comfortable, especially the more dressed up I am. Now, if I'm going to go out and run, I might feel okay, doing that. But, to go to church or whatever, I don't know. I just feel like longer is better.
Yes.
Another thing that I remember my mom always saying when I was a little girl, I'd overhear her say, like, she's too old to wear her hair that long. And
I was going to say that.
Yeah, it was just assumed that the older you got, the shorter your hair got. And that is definitely not true today.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, that was a very common cultural phenomenon that we all kind of absorbed. Like, after a certain age, you wouldn't have long hair anymore.
Yeah. Right. I mean, look at old TV shows and how the hair has changed for the women.
It was funny because we were talking with a friend about this, and she said that she would no longer braid her hair or wear any barrettes. And I thought that was interesting. Like, after a certain age, she felt like, okay, that's too young of a hairstyle. What do you think about that, Mindy?
I braid my hair like once a week.
Oh, okay.
And I always get compliments. I'm going to work out,
right?
And all that. But I do think that there's certain styles. Like we think, oh, we can't wear like a cute headband or, head accessories, headbands, scarves tied to your ponytail. But think about like when your friend shows up and she has like a hair accessory, and it can be so cute, so well done. And so I say go for it and have fun. And yeah, I would totally do a barrette if I had an updo and I wanted a little sparkle, I think it can be tastefully done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe no pigtails. That feels a little young.
For a workout class, low pigtails, not high pigtails, right?
I was trying to think about clothes, and I wouldn't wear like a real short mini skirt. But I'm trying to think of other things. I don't really feel maybe like there's certain items of clothing, but there's certain stores that I wouldn't go to. Like, I remember when my mom reached a certain age, she all of a sudden felt like she needed to shop at Chico's, and everything had to be about Chico's. And I don't have a store. I don't think that I think, oh, well, I have to shop here now because I'm a certain age.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not ready for Chico's yet.
No, they have some nice quality pieces, but yeah, as a whole, Well, I will say, I struggled with this, but then I realized, like, no, this actually is tasteful. I'm not necessarily showing skin, but there's the shirts. They're not crop tops, but they stop at the waist. You know what I'm talking about? And I had to get comfortable wearing a shirt that wasn't like so long that it was always covering my butt. Cause I went through a phase where I'm like, I just feel like I need to, especially with leggings or whatever. And maybe I'm getting older and don't care as much. I don't know. But like shirts that stop at your waist, especially with like my Target Magic pants, like shirts that stop at my waist look the best on me with those. And so that's been kind of a new item in my wardrobe. I'll say some people won't do like tall platform shoes anymore. Of course there is a fall risk. So
you could trip.
You gotta, be careful. But, platform shoes are so cute, and wedges and things like that. So, that can still be done really well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, shoes are a whole different thing because there are some people that say like, well, after a certain age, you can't wear a certain type of.
Right. The amount of times I hear plantar fasciitis in my age group, I tell you what. So, but listen, there are some really cute shoes out there for those that struggle with plantar fasciitis, and you can still be fashionable.
Yeah. So I'll still wear platforms, but I don't. I do care more about comfort than looks than I used to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's wisdom.
Yeah.
I do think that probably we, of course, because society progresses, we have much more freedom than like even our mothers had. And then, of course, even before that. So we can wear younger things longer.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see what we decide to take off the table the older we get, because I'm sure there will be things.
Yeah. I think it depends on kind of who you hang around to, because at Christmas time, I went shopping with two friends that love to shop. And so they were constantly encouraging me to buy things. And we went to this store and they were like, oh, you have to get these overalls. And they were those linen baggy overalls with the string ties,
Yep.
And I won't say they talked me into them. I wanted them, but they encouraged me to buy them. If I'd been on my own, I probably wouldn't have tried them on. I probably wouldn't have got them, but they were like, no, you need to get those. Those look great. So I think if you're around people that are kind of young at heart, it helps.
Yeah,
that's true.
For you to be willing to try younger things.
Right.
Yes. The one last thing in the clothing arena that I wanted to bring up is certain colors. Bright colors, very colorful. Of course, I live in the South now, and I just went to the most beautiful Southern wedding, and all of the women embrace color. But I will say in other parts of the country, I haven't necessarily seen that. Women go more towards, softer palettes, neutrals, solids, things like that. And so seeing a bright pop of color is pretty fun. And there's some fun colors out there. So I think those also can be well done. If it's like neon pink, I mean, you can keep it to just one item, maybe not the whole outfit, but
Yeah. No, that's a good point, with the colors, because I think we do tend to get a little more subdued in our color choices the older that we get.
Right.
I don't know if we're trying not to draw attention to ourselves or if we just feel like that's too old or too young for us. I'm not really sure what the reason is on that.
Yeah, it can be fun though to have a pop of color.
Yeah. Okay, well, what about things that we can do to stay mentally young? Because age really is a state of mind. So how can we keep our state of mind young? Like, what do you guys find that helps you to do that?
Well, for me, that has a lot to do with technology. I don't want to get to where I say, I just can't use that, or I don't know anything about that. So I try to keep up. Now, my kids would probably laugh to think that I'm keeping up, but but this may seem silly, but I try to order, like if I'm at Chipotle, I try to order on the app. I use the Chick-fil-A app, and I go in and pick it up. Order groceries online occasionally, even though I don't really prefer that. Or I got Spotify, even though I'd rather own my own CDs and have all my music on hand. But I thought, this is the way of the future. I might as well embrace it. I get the online portals from my doctor to communicate with them. You don't have to, but it's like, okay, this is going to be best. I try to check out ebooks from the library, even though I don't prefer that. And just a couple of weeks ago, I showed a lady who was just a little bit older than me, something new on her phone, like a feature on the camera. And she was so amazed. And I just felt so young that I got to show her,
Yes. That you get to
I
share
never
your
knew
knowledge.
that was there.
Right.
Wow, Julie.
So, I just think keep trying to keep up so that you don't ever get to a point where you just can't do it. If the gap just becomes so big, you might not be able to figure it out.
Right. Well, I think that's the whole point, is what you tell yourself you can do or can't do. And that state of mind is really kind of the catalyst of how you're going to age. Because if you continue to get uncomfortable and say yes to things and let new things into your life, whether it be technology, though, funny enough, I put an exclamation point by technology. Like that's a telltale sign right there. But saying yes and saying, okay, I'll try that. Even if it scares you to death, you're uncomfortable, you might be worried about injury, but saying yes and being uncomfortable, I think, keeps you young, no matter what it is. That could be a crafting item. It could be a technique of anything. Some people will learn a new language, things like that. But one thing that I do is working out. Working out, I think, keeps my mind young. It makes me do hard things. I'm in class. I mentioned this before, but I'm in class with women that are in their 60s and 70s. And that is very encouraging to me to see that. And they're doing the same things I'm doing, and I'm dying, and they're dying, but they look great. They can do everything. And so they continue to show up, and they continue to kind of physically put themselves out there. And I love that. I love being around people like that, because I hope that that'll keep me trying new things and putting myself out there and getting uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it's really important what you tell yourself. Like if you just say, oh, I'll never be able to do that, then you probably won't, because you won't even try. So if you at least maybe you could change it to, oh, this is going to be hard. It may take me a while, but I can do it. Instead of just shutting the door and saying, oh, I'll never be able to do that,
Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking about an example this week that made me feel mentally old, but I chastised myself and said, no, you're not going to act like that. So I had to go to a doctor's appointment downtown, and driving downtown Nashville intimidates me. And not only did I have to drive down there, but I also had to park. And so I get the different doctors that I go to down there, their parking garages mixed up in my mind, because I only go once a year, and I couldn't really remember what this guy's parking garage was like. Like, is this a hard one or not? And I dreaded it. Like, the 4 or 5 days beforehand. Whenever I would think that doctor's appointment, I'd think, oh, I wish I didn't have to go downtown. And on my way down there, I was like, I should see if he has a satellite office, or maybe I should move to somebody in Cool Springs or something. Like, I just don't want to have to do this. But then I thought, oh my goodness, I sound like an old person. Okay, I can do this. I did it last year. I can do it. I will listen to my GPS. I will ask a question of someone if I need to. Like, I can park downtown.
Right.
You know, it's funny how we can just so easily, like even that small example, I immediately just wanted to avoid that uncomfortable situation in the future. I'm just going to switch my doctor so that I never have to go downtown again.
Right.
Yeah, that is definitely something that ages you when you hear, I can't go there because it's downtown. I don't drive in traffic, or I don't drive after dark. Like, I just hope that's a long way off for me, because I do try to intentionally pick downtown restaurants to try and go to. And I don't, I'm like, I'll find the parking when I get down there, because I don't ever want that to just be cut off from me. You know?
I agree. I so agree. You really, and maybe it shouldn't be, we sound old when we say that, because as we just talked about, it's not so much your age, it's that you're limiting yourself. You're starting to say no. So maybe, we don't want to be a limited person. We want to continue to be open to new experiences and things like that. And I'm the same way, like driving myself, through a city, it's a challenge. You mentally like prepare for it. And then it's kind of thrilling, you're like, I can do this. I can be a city girl. I can parallel park, I can.
I can't do that, Mindy.
Oh, sorry. I do actually parallel park every day
in
my sweet little town. I do.
I really need to take some parallel parking.
Parallel park.
I feel so accomplished whenever I do it. Yeah.
Maybe I need Steve to take me out driving again, because it is true that if you don't feel confident doing something, then that limits you. And I could take steps to get more confident doing those types of things.
It's like, I love that you guys brought that up. How many times you say, I can't do that because this, I can't do that because this. And it's just that mental, like I can't, or I can.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So what are some other things that you guys do to stay mentally young? Like, is there anything in your life that you do to stay mentally young? Like, if I asked my mom this question 5 years ago, she might have said, oh, well, I do this Sudoku every day. Or, like, what do we do to stay mentally young?
I think just saying yes to kind of fun things. Like, I wanted to go see Lauren Daigle in concert several years ago. So I looked up her tour schedule. She was coming to Nashville, but I thought, no, she's playing at Red Rocks. Let's go there. I could have waited till Nashville, but we planned a trip to see my daughter. And on the way, we just made a pit stop in Denver and saw her there. And that was a really cool thing to do. And I've mentioned this before. A friend of mine asked me to help her drive her camper back across country from Seattle. So I flew out there, and it was the best 2 weeks of my life. We just picked the route and we said, hey, let's stop at Mount Rushmore. Let's stop at Devil's Tower, the Badlands. Like, we just, every day it was just wherever we wanted to go. And there was just such freedom in that, and all kinds of great conversations and laughter and the beautiful scenery. And we still talk about that as an awesome memory. And there were lots of reasons I could have said no to that.
Right.
I've never driven a camper across country.
Right. How are you going to park it, Julie?
I know. And plan the route. And what if we had a flat tire? Like, we have to know how to deal with all that, and but it was really fun. It was so worth it.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you've done some inspiring things travel wise that I feel like really would stretch most people.
Right. And when you parasailed in Switzerland?
Paragliding, yeah. We ran off the side of a mountain over a valley, 1,400 feet in the air. And it's funny because we'll talk about this later, but fear of injury is something that limits me, not fear of death. A quick death would be all right.
Right.
But don't make me lame.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I have too much else I need to do. So I thought, okay, it looks like I can land safely on this. So we did it.
My sister turned 46 in April, and her husband sent out a text message to everybody in the family. On Lisa's bucket list is to rent a pedal tavern for her birthday in Nashville. And I remember when we got the message, my husband and I were like, oh, are you serious? And then like, how do you say no? Like, okay, it's on her bucket list. So of course I reply, sounds great, or, we'll be there or whatever. But even the night of, I was like, oh, what is this going to be? Like, we're too old for Peddler. We're like, oh, we were thinking like, oh, we just want to watch a movie and go to bed. So anyway, because I don't think it even started till maybe 8,
Oh my goodness.
That's so late. But anyways,
yeah, it is.
We ended up having the best time. It was so fun. I loved it. Like, and it was something that you would mostly see like bachelorette parties do in Nashville. But here we were all in our 40s or 50s doing this. It was so fun. We had a blast. So I do think that if someone suggests something fun, you sometimes need to stretch yourself and allow yourself to say yes.
I totally agree. Anytime that I am willing to be stretched ends up being a great time, actually. And so on cruise ships has been one of my top places that I'll kind of, choose to live a little more. And so there was one time we went on an adventure out in the middle of nowhere, Bahamas, and there was a blue hole. And so our guide kind of brought us up to the hole, and then I can't remember how many feet down, but he was like, okay, you guys can jump in. We all like looked at each other and I jumped.
Oh, good job. Did you touch bottom, Mindy, or was there not any?
No.
Okay.
No,
that's awesome.
I didn't touch bottom. And so, but you couldn't see the bottom,
I know. And that's what would make it scary is you don't know how deep
it is.
It's okay. Okay. Good for you.
So I did. And then like there was another trip that they were having the tug of war contest. And of course, all these like high schoolers and college, people are up there. And my friends are like, go, Mindy, go. Because they know I'll say yes. And I'm like, well, okay. And I seriously led our team to victory. So that was pretty awesome. I came home with a little trophy for that one. And then, but every time, I ended up dancing a Michael Jackson dance that I came up with my head. And like, there's videos of that dance. And so I love coming home and even showing my kids like, look, mom did this and mom did this. And this is in my 40s,
Yes.
And so I hope every night, Marie, you said, can't we just stay home and watch a movie and go to bed? Like every night, that's all I want to do.
Yeah. You have to make yourself do something else.
It's really hard to stay up late. So I would say aside from all the adventurous stuff, literally, if you ask me to stay up late, it's going to be a hard decision. I'm going to be uncomfortable to say yes.
But you'll be happy that you did most of the time.
I would also say having a younger friend or two helps.
Yeah.
Because I have a friend, she's only 29, and we get together periodically for coffee or lunch. And sometimes she'll hike with me or ask me to come do something with her. And last fall, she asked me to go to this coffee festival. Well, it was in East Nashville. So I just looked so out of place. I get over there and I am by far the oldest person there. I'm not dressed like anybody there. And I just felt like I was in the wrong world. But it was fun to see this is what people are doing.
Yeah.
This is what life in East Nashville is like. And it was fun because I think it helps you relate, because I can't just sit there and talk about laundry tips and recipes and aches and pains with my 29-year-old friend. I have to have something to talk about with her that she can relate to.
That's so true.
That keeps you young.
Oh, that's excellent.
It really does. Yeah. Okay. How do we determine if we're too old for something? And some of the reasons that we've talked about were like our kids, our perceptions, fear of injury or death. So let's elaborate on those a little bit. Like, how do we determine that, okay, I'm too old for something? And I was saying yesterday to Julie, like when my oldest was a teenager, there were so many things that she told me I was too old for. Now, just 10 years later, she's like, Mom, you can totally do that. You're not old. Come on. So like, I do think that sometimes our kids make us feel like we can't do anything. And then sometimes they really encourage us and make us feel young again.
That is so true. I'll say even with the dancing, you guys know I love to dance. And Abby went through a whole couple years where she's like, oh, like, don't move, like, stop moving, you know? Like, my body hears music and it starts moving. I can't stop it. And well, then like just a few years later, like we're going to Zumba classes together, and she loves that about me. And but it totally was a situation where she was embarrassed. And now I do use, caution, because I did just supervise. I was a chaperone at my son's junior prom. And I made sure to stay in the background.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably not the place.
You don't want to upstage him.
Listen, if I was gonna bust a move in the kitchen behind closed doors with the other moms.
Yeah. The moms are probably having more fun behind the kitchen doors.
We had a blast. Yes.
Julie, how do you decide whether you're too old for something?
It's usually fear of injury, not so much death, just injury.
Yeah.
So that applied to the paragliding. I think I'm going to be okay. So I was willing to go for that. But a good example would be in my 40s, I kept thinking for my 50th birthday, I want to rent out the skating rink, have all 80s music, and just have a big skate night. And the closer I got to 50, I realized that probably wasn't the greatest idea, because a friend of mine at church had gone skating with our youth group, fell, broke her wrist, had to have multiple surgeries. And I just thought, no, I just don't think it's worth it. Like, there's so many things I want to do more than skate, like walk, drive a car, use both hands,
eat with a fork.
Eat with a fork, yeah. Yeah. Go to the bathroom on my own, things like that. So I just kind of put skating aside. Like, I don't need to do this. And like this winter, I had a chance to go ice skating, and I thought, I don't think so. And kind of goes that way for skiing. Like, I skied several years ago with my son, and the whole time I just thought, what if something happens? What if something happens? And I did fine, but mentally it was not quite the same. And wakeboarding, when we had our boat, I was determined to do that at least once every summer, because I thought I always want to be able to do it. Because you don't just start something at 60, but if I figured if I continued it, like, hey, like you said, I did this last year, so I should be able to this year. So I haven't done it since 2020, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, Julie, I wouldn't put your skating aside or your skiing or your wakeboarding, because I think in a few years when Ezra and your new grandchild start saying, hey, do this with us, that will be new motivation, because like
it probably will.
Yeah. I remember my dad taking my kids roller skating on the family nights, and like all of a sudden the grandchildren are going to stretch you again because you want to join in. So I wouldn't write it off yet.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe you'll rent out a skating rink for your 70th.
Maybe I can push a stroller on the skating rink.
I still want to rent out a skating rink. Like, that's one of my dreams.
That's your bucket list.
Roller skating. And I was a true roller skating, person
Guru?
when I was, I even took lessons when I was younger. I can still backwards skate, and I'm like, I want to keep that skill. I love it. I actually, Altered State last year was selling roller skates.
Oh, really?
I don't know if they still do, but I was so tempted. But I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
One day.
I do think that fear of injury can prevent us. The thing about fear of injury, though, is that once you're afraid one year, well, now the next year when you're a year older, are you really going to be more brave? I feel like fear of injury is like a trap that is really hard to ever break back out of. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that I don't fall into it. I'm just saying it's such a hard one.
Right. Yeah. I'll say fear of being uncomfortable or not sleeping well. And this is like going on trips or the bathroom situation. Like, we've talked about this. Oh, those like, I don't want to have to use that kind of bathroom. Yeah, I want to go to Yosemite, but I don't want to have to use it.
I should have wrote that down, because fear of not getting good sleep or it's not even like I sleep awesome at home, but fear of being uncomfortable and having bad night's sleep keeps me from doing.
Yeah, I get really anxious about that, thinking I'm going to lose sleep all next week.
What's that meme I think I sent you, Marie? It was like, vacation is where you get to not sleep in great places.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, the bedding. Like, we talk about, oh, the mattress is not good, whereas before it's like, oh, I get a bed on vacation. Well, now I'm like, but is the bed good for my back? And do they have?
I have spent hours, even this week, Steve and I said, should we just cancel our trip to Yosemite? It seems like a lot of anxious thoughts on our part.
Oh, Marie.
The bathrooms, like the bedding, like sleeping in a tent, like, I don't know. But then I just keep on thinking no, because if I say no this year, that means I'm cutting off anything like that forever. I'm never going to say yes again.
Yeah. And I tell myself, I can always tap out. I can always say no. But then I have this like urge inside me. I'm like, no, you have to do it. You have to be uncomfortable. I'm like, but I hate being uncomfortable. And I have this war in my head. I'm like, I don't want to.
Or Marie, next year you could get a hotel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we did experience getting a hotel last year in Glacier, but I didn't like having to drive so far into the park just to get started every morning. So that's why I'm willing to try the camping, because the distances to drive, and then like here comes the parking again, trying to find parking.
Oh gosh.
I'd rather already be there. But yes, and my brother and sister-in-law, same age as me, they're out camping for a month every summer. I'd be able to do it for 5 nights. Come on, Marie.
Well, camping is definitely a state of mind. I think you either kind of like it or you don't. It's not so much a learned.
Maybe I'll
really
like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you might. Yeah. You're going with professionals, so they can help you navigate that at least.
Yes. All right. Well, let's think about some things that we have learned in our second half. One of the things I was thinking that and this doesn't have to be that you've learned for the first time. This could be relearned. So I skied with my ski club in high school and a little bit in college. And then it seemed like once we had kids, we never even thought about going skiing again. Then when our last 2 were about to graduate, we decided to try skiing again. And now we've gone for the past few years. And I just have to say, I feel like that's like a relearning of a skill that I loved, and I forgot how much I liked it. Like, it had completely left my mind. So I feel like sometimes I'm spending time relearning something that I used to enjoy, and I forgot how much I liked it.
Well, at first, when I thought about this question, I was like, oh, I don't think I've learned anything. And then when we talked yesterday, it kind of prompted, I was like, oh, that is something I learned. So I learned to sail. Not well, but I did learn.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a very scary thing. I've learned to watercolor. I dabble in it. And I've picked up macrame again. I made some wall hangings as gifts. I've kind of picked up sewing again, kind of for the home, not clothing. Home decorating has, become an interest. Gardening. I've learned to weave. I'm hiking more after 50 than I did before 50. I got into royal icing cookie decorating, and that was a little side hustle for a while, like for weddings and showers and graduation parties. I've gotten into photography, like with travel. And I would say travel was something I have learned to do recently. Like, we didn't do a lot of traveling when our kids were young. We would go to the beach, but you just sit there and enjoy, but or Disney. But as far as going to new cities and new places, or even out of the country, that came later for us. So I love to go to places and figure out how to get there, how to get around, planning out itineraries, cool things to do. And there's definitely some skill involved. And I've loved learning how to travel. And I had the opportunity to meet a friend in London, so I had to fly by myself. And then when I landed at Heathrow, I had to get the subway to our house. And I had to find it and check it, And it was, I have to say, it's very, I almost hate this word, empowering, but I can't think of a better word.
But it is,
But to go someplace and get there on your own gives you a lot of confidence. It was a huge confidence boost. And that applied to other things like, oh, I can do this. I found myself saying, I can do this. I can do this. So, yeah.
That's Julie, I'd follow you anywhere.
Take us on some tours, Julie.
I really hope so. I hope we can.
I would, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, there's one funny one and then one more serious one. But one funny one that I've had to relearn is being comfortable in a 2-piece bathing suit.
Oh.
And listen, this is this was really hard for me because I did grow up. My mom is very modest, and I don't remember her wearing a bathing suit often at all. There weren't as many cool options as we have today, but she just opted to not wear a bathing suit. And so she was always, out of the pool or out of the ocean, but she would certainly take us. But me, I went through a stage where like I just stayed covered up. And I was like, I'm not really living, with my kids, because with having 4 kids and wanting to be able to play. And then I remember one summer, my boys said, you never get your hair wet. Cause I was always I was like, okay, well, I'll put the bathing suit on and I'll get in the water, but I'm not going to play around like I used to, like when you're a kid and you're like swimming laps and doing races and how long can you hold your breath and handstands, like all those things. I was just a fish. And so it's a big deal for me to get my hair wet now, but then putting on a 2-piece bathing suit was really hard. And I've gotten more used to it because you see a lot more women, you see a lot more things when you go to the pool and the beach now that I'm like the least, worrisome thing out there.
Right. I always feel better after I go to the beach.
Listen, I'm like, well, both of my butt cheeks are covered.
Yeah.
But no, so that's the funny one, is just being willing to kind of be uncomfortable or be comfortable with my body and actually enjoy being at the beach and the pool. The other thing that it's still hard for me, but I keep saying yes, is being a fitness instructor. I really thought that part of my life was over. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm good at it and I love to do it, but it makes me uncomfortable. And I still I've been back to teaching for 6 months now, and I still it's almost a dread. Like, do I have, cause I'm on a little stage, I have to wear a mic. I'm in front of people and it makes me uncomfortable. And so that is something, I'm constantly learning. I'm learning different ways to move. I'm learning to be better at transitions. I'm learning how to move things and burn things out and stretch things. And it's uncomfortable, but I love it.
Yeah. And you're having to do it in front of other people.
Oh,
it is. Yeah. That part is hard.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about different things I've learned in my second half. An obvious one is podcasting.
Oh,
if you asked me to reset up a podcast today, I'd have a real hard time. Plus, it's probably changed in the over 4 years. But I remember when I had to start the podcast and figure out how to get it on, the podcast app and all the different podcast app and how to even create it and how to record it and how to edit it. All the things about it were a total learning curve. And I was so proud of myself when it worked.
Yeah.
And I felt very empowered, Julie. Okay, I can learn things from YouTube videos. I can look up things. I can do trial and error. I can do this.
Yeah.
Also, right now, I am learning to play pickleball. And it's so fun, but it is a learning thing. I want to get better. And we were playing this Saturday, and I said to my husband, I said, I am so discouraged because I'll talk to these people, mostly men. I'll say and I think, oh, I did pretty good against them. So I'll say oh, how long have you been playing pickleball? And they'll be like, oh, this is my second week. It's seriously? How come all the men, they play 2 times and they're awesome?
Really?
Yeah. So, it feels like everybody I do good against has been playing 3 weeks. So, but I am determined to get better. So it's just funny, but it's so fun. And I am getting better. It's just maybe not at the rate that I might have gotten better if I was 25.
Right.
A few years ago, we had my mom on the podcast to talk about gardening, and I had never, I don't know if I'd ever bought one flower and planted it in our yard in all the years we'd lived here, probably over 15 years before I ever bought a flower, before I ever even had a desire to buy a flower. I would put some in pots sometimes, but never plant them in the ground, never think about what bush I wanted here, just nothing. But all of a sudden, it was like a switch went off in my mind. And all of a sudden, I was very interested in what might grow. And I found it very satisfying to drive in and out of my driveway and see what I had planted blossoming. And it was just really fun. It was an interest that I had zero interest in just a few short weeks before that. So, that was in the second half of my life. I am learning to like animals in the second half of my life. Like I love owning a dog, and I'm learning that I love all the fun things that come along with it, like talking to other people about their dogs, taking your dogs for walks together, meeting for hikes. Like I'm finding that is very fun and stretches my mind. Like sometimes I'll meet someone and then I'll come home and look up their dog breed just because I'm interested in, well, what is that dog breed like? And what do they do? And how is that different from this other one? Or what do you have to do to care for that? Like, I don't know, that can stretch your mind. Like small interests can lead you to do research and think about other things.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Well, here's one thing that I've asked Abby about and I haven't done it. And I don't know if I ever will, but I do have an interest. You're going to laugh.
No.
I've always wanted a nose ring.
Oh, it's not too late, Mindy. It's definitely not too late.
There's a way to do that in a classy way, right?
Yes. It's funny because two of my daughters have nose rings, and I can remember when they would tell me they were going to get that, I would be like, well, you wait till you're 18. Like, I don't want to have to prove that. I don't even see it on their faces anymore. Like, I sometimes I'll notice it, but the majority of the time when I look at them, I don't even see it anymore.
Right. There you go.
Well, let's talk about some things that we would like to learn in our second half. And I don't know if you guys had anything, but, and these might sound crazy, but like we went to Glacier last year and driving around there with all the open land. And like, I just got to thinking like, I would love to learn to ride a horse. Like this just seems like the area of the country to horse ride. And I've never had the feeling of galloping across the pasture on a horse. Like, I just feel like I'm missing out if I don't know what that's like. Then I also think about injury or death. I think about I could fall off, get a brain injury, and that would be the end. So like, there's that. I would really like to try, and I have never thought about that this would be fun, but a mutual friend that Julie and I have on Facebook was posting this week about being in a musical, The Sound of Music. And so she's in community theater. And I thought, I wonder if it's too late for me to try community theater. Like, that looks fun to be a part of a production. And like, even if it was just the smallest part, that seems kind of fun.
I did think about that when I saw her post, because I don't know that I have the talent for it, but I know that it's an instant community. Like, because my kids have been in a play or at our homeschool group, that was always a really tight community and a fun thing to do. And I think that's a good way for adults to make friends and meet people in a community theater, because it really forms a tight bond because you work with those people for weeks,
I mean, we all remember Frankie Heck.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Poor Sue. She upstaged Sue.
I know.
Sue was under the stage.
The Wizard of Oz. Wasn't that what she was in? Yeah. Oh, it was so awesome.
Yeah. Another thing I was saying I would like to do, and I even went so far as to look this up. Okay, don't laugh, listeners, but I would really like to learn to dance, not ballroom dancing. Like, I don't care if it's hip hop or whatever. I just want to learn to dance and like be a part, learning something in a class like that and like learn a choreographed song and like perform it. Is that too crazy? It's really hard to find for my age, but I feel like that would be so fun.
Yes, it would.
Mindy, I feel like you'd enjoy it.
I would love that so much. I just saw where the Golden State Warriors have a senior citizens like dance crew.
Oh,
and I'm
that's
like,
cool.
This is my future. How have I never seen this before?
Yes. I don't know why, like, I don't know if maybe it's this year of empty nest, but I feel like there's all these things that are more playful that I want to try.
Yes, I agree. Dancing keeps you young. I'm really missing that right now because we don't have a local like fitness dance class. And I'm telling you, there's something about feeling young by going to a dance class. It's truly amazing.
Yeah. So what are some things that you guys would like to learn in your second half? Or even just try?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll do it, but if I could just do anything, this is what I would do. I would learn to speak another language.
Oh,
and I mean
yeah.
fluently, not just,
Mhm.
I took
Mhm.
years of French, I took years of Latin,
Mhm.
and I could recognize words, but I can't speak it.
Mhm.
And I have a friend who I saw on Facebook recently said that she was committing to learning French.
Mm.
And I believe she'll do it because she had exchange students with her kids like through high school, and they've gone to visit them in France and their families. They've maintained a close relationship, and she wants to be able to talk to them,
Mhm.
like to the adult parents.
Mhm.
Right.
And I thought that's a neat goal. Like if you had a specific reason for doing it, like I don't know who I would speak
Right.
French with.
Mhm.
Right.
Spanish would be the more logical choice here in Nashville, but
Mhm.
I don't
Right.
find that as interesting as French or German or,
Mhm.
Right.
but that would be my top thing. I'd love to be able to do that. My daughter and I have talked about curling, the sport curling.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
I really would like to do it. And Nashville has a new curling place that's kind of like going to a bowling alley. You just go and curl, and they have food, and it's just like a fun night out. And so that's on my list to try because I've curled once, and it's not easy. It's not easy like it looks. It's pretty difficult, but
Right.
I'd like to hike more of the Appalachian Trail. We've done a few sections of several states. I think that would be a cool goal, is to section hike apart from each state that it's in.
Oh, yeah. Those are good goals, Julie. And I feel like you could reach those.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to speak Spanish to our movers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like you need to have a reason.
Yes. They did not speak any English, and I had my boxes color coded for the room. So I learned all the colors in Spanish in about 10 minutes,
Yes.
Wow. That's excellent.
So, yeah. And then I even learned a few words, upstairs, downstairs.
Wow. Don't you feel so cool using another language?
Well, yeah. I mean, one time he laughed, so I figured I got the pronunciation wrong. But it's
awesome.
true. When you need it, you can learn it.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So my little list of things that I still want to learn is the physical things that my husband has shown interest, and I am also interested in, that I think we'll kind of do together in Empty Nest, is golf, tennis, and pickleball. So all three of those I think are going to be kind of more in our future. And thankfully, we live in a very excellent community where a lot of older people, like older than me, 10, 20, 30 years older than me, that play tennis. Like they're always out on the tennis court. And I'm like, that is impressive. Or they'll be golfing, it's just, it's a very active area. So I love being kind of around that because I think maybe I'll gravitate towards it. I mentioned earlier, I think a lot about going back to school, but then there's nothing that I care enough about. So I don't know if that's something that I'll ever, decide to pursue. Something fun is I was an extra in a movie here in LaGrange. And I did that with two friends. And one of the friends has actually been an extra a lot. And she was a consistent extra on The Walking Dead.
Oh.
And so that fascinated me. And me and my friend, we have a lot in common. And so we've talked about doing more movies, like traveling and getting on the, the inside list of where they need people kind of around our area and going and being extras in movies.
Where in the world is Mindy?
Right? Like I have this friend that knows how to navigate it. And that sounds like a lot of fun to me.
It does sound like fun.
We had a blast when it was like summertime, but we had to dress up for a Christmas movie. And so that's supposed to come out, I think, actually this Christmas. So I'll let y'all know when that comes out.
Tell us when your movie comes out, Mindy.
I know. We'll see if we can even see me in the background. I wore a white stocking cap with a ball, and I'm tall.
Okay.
To try to hope that you would be able to see me in the background.
Yes.
Like, there's the white ball. Okay, but the last thing is Julie has this outlet, and I would love to have this outlet for myself, but I don't know what I would focus on yet. But I'd like to have a more professional or kind of hobby social media platform. So I don't know what that would look like or kind of what my niche would be because I have several interests that I've thought about, but actually taking the time to produce something that I enjoy and do it on, kind of my own social media platform.
Yeah, that would be fun,
So,
Mindy. We'll follow you.
It is fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I love that we're even thinking of these ideas. I mean, half the battle is even just getting the mindset to think of, well, what would I like to do? And then there's always way more opportunities. Like if you've thought that you'd like to do it, there's probably other people your age that have also thought they'd like to do it. So you're never, and obviously the stories we shared at the beginning, you're never too old to start.
Right.
Well, I know that I'm inspired listening to you guys. And listeners, we hope that you're inspired listening to us. We would love to find out what you'd like to learn in your second half, what you are doing in your second half. Tell us just anything you want to on this topic. You can find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
All right, I'm a fan of a recipe that I tried last night, and it's a Mediterranean bowl, and you use a roast, and I seasoned it with, I think it was salt and pepper, cumin, smoked paprika, garlic, onion powder, and you add some beef broth and a red onion, and you cook that on low, and then when it's done cooking, you shred it, and you serve it on pita bread with fresh tomatoes and lettuce and cucumbers. And then the recipe included like a little tzatziki sauce recipe. It was yogurt, feta, and mint that you put in the food processor.
So good.
I made one pita and then I made an entire second pita. It was so good. And I like it because the roast that'll make lunches too. Yeah. That'll make good leftovers. You can serve it over rice or on the bread, either way. But it was really, really good.
Yes.
Sounds amazing.
So I asked Marie to stay last night and she missed it.
I know. We'd already been there for several hours working on Julie's house, but that totally smelled so good the whole time I was there. It was really good. Really good.
Oh my goodness.
You'll want to try it just for the smell. It'll make your house smell amazing.
Yum.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
All right. I'm a fan of an app. And Julie, you're going to love this. It goes along with something you just mentioned. So my youngest son is a constant learner and he's going to keep me young. But he's the one that, taught himself to play piano and he wanted to learn the backflip, Nathan, the one. And so this is an app that he found because after going on a cruise, he met a girl from Mexico and he decided he wants to be bilingual. And he jumps both feet in. Yeah. And so he's been taking Spanish at school, but he wanted to learn it faster and to be more fluent because he realized he wasn't speaking it as much. Like when he was around this girl and he met her brother and he heard them speaking and he wants to live in another country one day, for a little bit. The app is called Duolingo. And he practices on the app when he's at home because he's able to supplement what he's getting at school. And I have no doubt the child's going to be fluent. That's just the way he is. He's just amazing. But the Duolingo app, and it's got multiple languages. So whatever you're looking to learn, if you want to learn from an app, this might be a good one.
Oh. Yeah, I have tried that one before.
Okay.
Yeah. There's so many new ways that we can learn things now. That's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a fan of something that is making my life a little bit easier. So I don't remember if this was in our College Kids Coming Home episode or where I shared this. I think Mindy and I were commiserating about all the cups that people use. And after being mostly by myself this year, I kind of forgot how many cups people use, but they were here about 5 days before I had a meltdown because my whole top rack of my dishwasher was continuously filled with every single cup we own. And I just thought, I don't understand. And there would be cups laying all over the house. So I thought, you know what? We're going to have to go back to the system that we had when they were little, where they each had a color. But I didn't want like just the plastic cups that we used to have. So I got on Amazon, and they sell these cute vintage glassware romantic drinking glasses. So they're 12 ounces. So they had to be a decent size.
Right.
And it came in a multicolored pack, and you got like a pale blue, a pale pink, a pale yellow, and a pale orange for $18. And I thought, you know what? They will come tomorrow. I had them pick their colors. I said, now I will know whose cup is laying out here in the living room, whose cup has never been taken out of the cupboard, and yet all the other cups are. Like, it allows you to hone in on the problem child.
Now, are they plastic or glass?
No, they're glass, and that's what I wanted this time. I wanted glass, and so they're pretty. I don't mind looking at them. Like, I didn't want cups that I was annoyed to even see them. Like, I don't like big plastic cups sitting on my counter all the time. So these are pretty to look at, and so anyways, I'll put a link if you too are frustrated this summer by whatever age kids you have that are going through every cup you own. You could order these.
That is awesome. The adult version
idea
of the child like sippy cup.
Yes. So anyways, and it will make mom a happier mom.
And somebody might be getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I enjoyed talking with you guys today. I'm inspired to try new things, and I'm surprised to really take inventory of the things that we have been learning. Like, we're not too old, guys. We can do this.
Right. This was fun to talk about.
It was fun.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Bye.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.